Big win to kick off the tournament for Canada, 6-0 over Honduras. What does this mean moving forward in the tournament for this Canadian team? Of course, they're going to Houston, where they will deal with the heat and the humidity, which they didn't have to deal with in Vancouver, and games against El Salvador and Curacao coming up to round out group play before hoping to move on to a bit of a legacy-defining knockout stage. Brendan, where do you see this tournament going for Canada?
I think it's great to be conditioned, much as you would like your team to be conditioned to be able to play at altitude, to be able to play in the heat and the humidity that is definitely going to exist next summer at the World Cup. I think this is good. And one thing that we all saw, the three of us in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, when the Vancouver Whitecaps played Inter Miami in the semifinal, is that these younger, fit teams will outlast even the exceptionally talented and tactical sides that are older. And I think that Jesse Marsch has, much like Jesper Sorensen, a team that's is well suited for that. So I'm not worried about that. In the past, that was an issue. That was an issue with Julian de Guzman and Thibaut Hutchison and Dwayne De Rosario, that they were in their 30s, and you just, can we please get 80 minutes out of them in the heat? That isn't the same concern with this group. So that works to their advantage. And I do think that these tests, after acing their what would have been their hardest test against Honduras, I do think that these tests will be good against Curacao and El Salvador. They'll play against a crowd, which will be nice. And then if all things shake out, Costa Rica in the quarters is going to be a real test. I mean, that could be a semifinal level match. And if things line up that it's Mexico on the other side of the bracket, and Mexico in the final potentially, then, based on the way Canada's playing, man, I agree with Alex that this does feel like it's their time.
Hey, don't sleep on Guatemala after that win versus Jamaica. Canada, Guatemala, we know those Guatemalan fans travel like nobody else, so that would be a heck of a quarterfinal to watch. But no, for this group outlook, funnily enough, I had this parallel when I was writing yesterday. It was a nice change because last Gold Cup, we almost forget, Canada just had that not great opener against Guadeloupe, and it kind of set the tone for what wasn't a great group stage. Like the true Guatemala, then they got the win against Cuba. They didn't even feel that satisfying. Their only good game of the tournament, unfortunately, came in that losing cause against the U.S., the great 2-2 deep in extra time, the Schaffelberg breakout. I just love that they've set the tone in a way that they get such a big win, one of their biggest ever Gold Cup wins against a top team. Now, like, it's set up of, okay, there's this talk of going into the tournament of being favorites, but Canada was willing to downplay it. Well, they showed with their play, they're favorites. There's no hiding from it now. So just keep embracing it, keep getting results. These results matter. I think it would be fantastic for Canada if they could get 9 points, because how many times have they in their group in the past finished with 5, 6? Like, Canada always scrapes their way through group stages. It's almost frustrating in a way. It would be nice for them to get 9 on the board and really put that statement of intent up of this is what this team's about. And they shouldn't be afraid of any of those occasions. You mentioned the heat, Brendan. They had the Copa America experience where they played Peru in Kansas City in midday, and it was, so hot that unfortunately that linesman, had heat stroke that day. Yet Canada was still pressing, still energetic, still got a win against CONMEBOL opposition. Time to go use that experience. Time to use that youthful, those youthful legs to an advantage.
Mark Scrivens gave us an interesting question as well. Based on the current form, where would Canada be in the FIFA rankings if it wasn't to do with, the amount of historical weight that goes into those, in Canada crawling out of, the depths that they reached in the FIFA rankings for a while there?
I got a quick answer. I think that Canada have become a top 25 team in the world. I often question, though, at times when the United States and Mexico have been between 11 and 18, how accurate that is for them. But I feel pretty confident, Alex, in saying that at the moment, Canada is an actual top 25 international team.
Well, I will always say it. I've been saying it for years. I think even back during the World Cup qualifiers, I'd always look at it. I'm a big fan of the ELO ratings just because they're more weighted over the last year especially, but then, the 2, 3, 4 years. And I just opened them for the first time in a while. Canada is there, 26th, tied with Iran, just behind Morocco, just ahead of Ukraine, Senegal, South Korea. I think that's pretty darn fair. Okay, maybe I don't know why Senegal is 30th. Clearly, they weren't feeling that big win over England last week. Shout out to them for that. But yeah, I mean, the only team ahead of them in CONCACAF that I see here is Mexico in 24th, so not that far behind them. I'd say the ELO ratings already shows where this Canadian team can be. So that's another thing I was going to mention why this tournament is so important. You can get a lot of FIFA rankings. The Gold Cup weighting is insane because it's a final tournament. So it's like something like Nations League was times 15 multiplier. Friendlies, of course, are like times 10. Gold Cup is like times 35. The only thing bigger than it is the World Cup, of course. So for Canada, this win against Honduras is huge because it's going to be weighted like, bigger than it would have been if they beat Mexico at the Nations League. Now if they can beat Curacao and El Salvador, those are more FIFA points, where they're up to, I think, 28th now in the live FIFA rankings after their draw against Cote d'Ivoire, win against Ukraine and Honduras. There's a legitimate chance where they crack that top 25 with the Gold Cup. I did the math before the tournament. So another reason, because that stuff helps. We know it for visas. We know it for prestige. It won't matter this World Cup for pot draws, but it helps for certain draws in the future. I think it's going to be very important for Canada to keep growing, and hopefully they can get their FIFA rankings to look a little more like the ELO ratings over the next few weeks.
That's a great explainer, Alex, too, as to why we see Mexico and the U.S. often so much higher than it feels they deserve.